ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च। श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहागणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहागणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुकुं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। Okay, so we are continuing Chaitanya Charitamrita discussion. Today we will discuss sixth chapter of Adi Leela. Last week we discussed about the glories of Nityananda Prabhu, um, and this sixth chapter is dedicated to glories of Advaita Acharya. Um, the main theme of today's discussion will be um, um, the joy of becoming a servant. That's what Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami brings out emphatically in this chapter, um, how everybody is deriving their pleasure by becoming the servant of the Lord. That's the main theme for today. Okay, Pranam Mantra. जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा जय द्वैता चंद्रा जय गौर भक्त वृंदा. All glories to Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Shri Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to Advaita Chandra and all glories to devotees of Lord Gauranga. This is a verse which we discussed in Adi Leela, first chapter, um, describing the glories of Advaita Acharya. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami will, will expand on this verse in this chapter. Advaitam, Harin Advaitam, Acharyam Bhakti Samshanat, Bhaktavataram Isham Tam, Advaitacharyam Ashraye. Advaitam, Hari Advaitam. Who is Advaita? He is non-different from Hari. That's the first line. Hari Advaitam. He is non-different from Hari. Acharyam Bhakti Samshanat. And he is called Acharya because he is spreading the movement of bhakti. Third line is Bhakta Avtaram Ishamtam, but he has appeared in the form of a Bhakta. Um, Although he is Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has himself appeared in the mood of a service, in the mood of a servant. And that's the theme of today's discussion, how everybody takes pleasure in developing the mood of a servant. Because he is not different from Hari, the Supreme Lord, he is called Advaita. And because he propagates the cult of devotion, he is called Acharya. He is the Lord and the incarnation of the Lord's devotee. Therefore, I take shelter of him. Um, Now, the first line of this verse, Advaitam Hari Advaitam. So, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has dedicated few verses for each line, the first three line. So the first line is Advaitam Hari Advaitam. He is not different from Hari, and few verses Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami expand on this. Mahavishnu Shashti Karena Jagad Adi Karya Tanra Avatara Sakshat Advaita Acharya. Mahavishnu performs all the functions of the creation of the universes. Sri Advaita Acharya is his direct incarnation. So same Mahavishnu, which from whose pores emanates unlimited, Anantakoti, unlimited universes, that same Mahavishnu has appeared to assist Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the mood of a servant. So he is not different from, he is Mahavishnu. अद्वैता आचार्य कोटि ब्रह्मांडेरा कर्ता आरा एका एका मूर्तिये ब्रह्मांडेरा भरता. Sri Advaita Acharya is the creator of millions and millions of universes, and by his expansions, as Garbhodakshai Vishnu, he maintains each and every universe. So that Mahavishnu, original Karnodakshai ocean, that Vishnu is Advaita Acharya. And Garbhodakshai Vishnu is an expansion of Advaita Acharya. And that Advaita Acharya has come in a mood of a servant to assist Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, why has he descended? So, this was the first line, which is Advaitam Hari Advaitam. Now, explaining the second line, Acharyam Bhakti Shamshanat means he has come to propagate bhakti, to set an example to propagate bhakti. And although he is Mahavishnu, the worshipable Lord, he himself worship Krishna with Ganga water and Tulsi leaves in the form of Shaligram Shila. So he himself came and he performed bhakti. He performed bhakti. That's why he is called Acharyam. Acharya means one who teaches by his own example. Um, um, he was well known in the community of devotees as the best among the devotees. He was the leader of the Brahmanas. So Acharya Bhakti Shamshanat. पूर्वे यैछे कैला सर्वा विश्वेरा सृजना avatari kaila ebe bhakti pravartana. As he had formerly created all the universes, now he descended to introduce the path of bhakti. Initially he created all the universes. Now he has descended to propagate the path of bhakti. Jiva Nishta Lila Krishna Bhakti Kari Dan Gita Bhagavate Kaila Bhaktira Vyakhyan. He delivered all living beings by offering the gift of Krishna Bhakti. He explained the Bhagavad Gita and Shrimad Bhagavatam in the light of devotional service. Every day he would hold classes on Bhagavad Gita and Shrimad Bhagavatam. Um, the brother of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Vishwarup would used to attend, and many other devotees. That time Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not a devotee yet. Others would attend. Um, and by calling Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave bhakti to all the world. So these are multiple ways by his own teachings, discussions, example, and by calling Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He delivered all living beings in this way by giving them Krishna Bhakti. यहाँ रा तुलसी जले यहाँ राहू कारे स्वगण सहिते चैतन्य अवतारे. He worshipped Krishna with tulsi leaf and water of the Ganges and called for him in a loud voice, Hunkar. Thus, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared on earth accompanied by his personal associates. This is one of the external reasons Mahaprabhu appeared, calling of Advaita Acharya. Yanda dwara kaila Prabhu Kirtana Prachar. Yanda dwara kaila Prabhu Jagata Nishtar. It is through him, Advaita Acharya, that Lord Chaitanya spread the Sankirtan movement, and through him that he delivered the word. Um, mm. Mahaprabhu had many branches. Um, mm. The main branches were Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Acharya, and their generation and their descendants spread the movement of bhakti. And then there are many sub branches. So Advaita Acharya is one of the primary branch. This is described in the 8th chapter of Adi Leela. The glorious emotion of servitude, Bhakta Avtaram Ishantam. Now, rest of the discussion is based on this theme. um, the mood of a devotee, the mood of a servitude. Um, um, that's the rest of the theme discussion. So we discussed how he's non-different from Advaita. Then we saw how he came to spread the bhakti movement, and he himself performed devotional service by worshipping Tulsi with Ganga, Shaligram with Tulsi and Ganga. Um, and by spreading the message of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, how he spread and how he was the reason out by his own bhakti and loud calling, he invited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to this material world. Now, Bhakta Avataram Ishamtam. He is an avatar, but he is not a normal avatar. He's a Bhakta Avataram. Um, an avatar who is a Bhakta. Um, that's the last section. Advaita's glorious attributes are unfathomable to the worm like living entities. A normal now Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami feeling is prominent here. He is telling Advaita Acharya attributes cannot be understood by worm like living entities. In other words, if you compare Mahavishnu with unlimited universes coming out, and each of the universes there are how many different planets, what is the position of a jiva compared to Mahavishnu. So we may hear about Advaita Acharya and we may not really appreciate him. We may think he is one of our devotee of Lord Chaitanya, but we may not really understand because the glories of Advaita Acharya are infinite for a small infinitesimal living entity like us to understand. So that mood is coming out. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is telling it is unfathomable to the worm like living entities, the glories of Advaita Acharya. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has two angas, Mukhya Anga and Upanga. Mukhya Anga are the primary limbs. The two principal limbs of Lord Chaitanya are Sri Advaita Acharya and Sri Nityananda Prabhu. And Upanga are the devotees headed by Srivas are his smaller limbs. In other words, just like Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami gives an example, all the limbs are meant to serve the whole. The hands, the legs, the senses, they are meant to serve the self, serve the whole. So likewise, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he descended, his different limbs, they assisted Lord Chaitanya in his mission. His mission was to spread the holy name. Um, and his limbs, primary limbs are Advaita Acharya Nityananda Prabhu, and secondary limbs are Srivas Thakur and others, which is described in the future chapters, the limbs. And just like the limbs of the whole, they all came just to assist Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in fulfilling the mission, the Yuga Dharma mission. With all of them, Lord Chaitanya performed his pastimes and spread his mission. Madhva Madhavendra Purira inho Shishya ei Gyane Acharya go Saire Prabhu Guru Kari Mane. Thinking he, Sri Advaita Acharya, is disciple of Sri Madhavendra Puri, Lord Chaitanya obeys him, respecting him as a spiritual master. So Madhavendra Puri comes in the line of Madhvacharya. He was a disciple of Lakshmipati Tirtha. Um, Madhavendra Puri had many disciples. Um, Primary disciple were Ishwar Puri and Advaita Acharya. Nityananda Prabhu, um, um, anyways, um, there is no full clarity about Nityananda Prabhu. Some say he is a disciple of Lakshmipati Tirtha, or god brother of Madhavendra Puri. But I have also heard somebody saying he is disciple of Madhavendra Puri. Um, so thinking Sri Advaita Acharya is a disciple of Sri Madhavendra Puri, Lord Chaitanya obeys him, respecting him as a spiritual master. Any any god brother of our spiritual master should be treated as good as spiritual master. Um, um, so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was disciple of Ishwar Puri. So Advaita Acharya was god brother of his spiritual master, because Ishwar Puri and Advaita Acharya were both disciple of Madhvacharya. And for that reason, Mahaprabhu would treat Advaita with great respect. One is out of his age, another is he is on a level externally, on a level of his spiritual master. To maintain the proper etiquette for the principles of religion, Lord Chaitanya bows down to the lotus feet of Sri Advaita Acharya with reverential prayers and devotion. Das Abhiman. Das Abhiman means being proud to call oneself servant of the Lord and servant of spiritual master. Abhiman is pride, and Das Abhiman means proud to be a servant. So that's the mood which will carry forward in Bhakta Avatara. Advaita Acharya considers Lord Chaitanya his master and thinks of himself as his servant. He forgets himself in that joy and teaches all jivas, you are servants of Sri Chaitanya. That's a mood prominent, um, um, that he likes, that Advaita Acharya likes to imbibe, that he enjoys the most, is he forgets that he is Mahavishnu lying down in causal ocean creating millions of universes, and he is Vishnu Narayan himself. He forgets all these things, and he takes great joy in, and great abhiman, great pride in thinking that I am servant of Sri Chaitanya. I am servant of Sri Chaitanya. And he tells all living entities, uh, try to become servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that's the mood. Although he is Advaitam, Hari Advaitam, he has come to propagate bhakti. His mood is Bhakta, Bhakta Avataram, Ishamtam. This is the nature of devotional service. Even the Lord himself plays the part of a devotee. Now, this section is one of my one of the section I like. कृष्ण दास अभिमाने ये आनंद सिंधु कोटि ब्रह्म सुख नाहे तारा एक बिंदु कोटि ब्रह्म सुख नाहे तारा एक बिंदु. uh, Even one drop of Krishna Das Abhiman. Krishna Das Abhiman. That's why the name of the theme of this chapter is Das Abhiman, because Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami uses this word in many verses in the rest of the chapter, is Das Abhiman. Proud of being a servant of Sri Chaitanya, proud of being the servant of Krishna. Krishna Das Abhiman Ye Ananda Sindhu. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami explaining that the pleasure derived by considering oneself servant of Krishna, Koti Brahma Sukha Nahe Tara Ek Bindu, cannot be compared uh, to um, um, okay, let us read. The conception of servitude to Sri Krishna generates such an ocean of joy in the soul that even the joy of oneness with the Supreme, which is Brahma Sukha, Brahmananda, um, if multiplied 10 million times, Koti Brahma Sukha could not compare to a drop of it. Means a drop of pleasure derived from Das Abhiman of Krishna surpasses 10 million times the Sukha of Brahmananda. Um, and for this particular reason, um, Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu is Balaram, and everybody else takes pleasure and pride in becoming the servant of the Lord because the joy is too much. मुनि ये चैतन्य दास आर नित्यानंदा दास bhava sama nahe anyatra ananda. He says, Nityananda and I are servants of Lord Chaitanya. Nowhere else is there such joy as that which is tasted in this emotion of servitude. So Advaita Acharya takes great pride in including Nityananda Prabhu in his team. So Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Acharya were a team and they were like confidentially would serve Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is specifically before Mahaprabhu took sannyas in those particular pastimes. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami quotes other example to quote now. The point that Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami want to emphasize is why Advaita Acharya, of being the Supreme Lord himself, take the position of being a servant, being the Lord himself. Um, and he 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 says because the joy is too much. This is the highest pleasure. That's why Advaita Acharya, being the Lord himself, take the position of servant. And then he quotes many, many examples how everybody does that. Advaita Acharya is not an example. Everybody else, no matter who they are, take pleasure in becoming the servant of the Lord. Um, Parama preyasi Lakshmi Hriday vasati teho dasya sukha mage kariya minnati. Lakshmi Devi is doing minati. Minati means praying. Praying. Hriday Vasati. She is residing in the heart of the Lord, but she is doing mannata dasya sukha to become the servant of the lotus feet of the Lord. She is aspiring for that joy. The most beloved goddess of fortune reside on the chest of Sri Krishna, yet she too earnestly praying begs for the joy of service at his feet. So that is the example of Lakshmi Devi. Dasya bhave anandita parishad gana vidhi bhava narada ara sukha sanatana. All the associates of Lord Krishna, such as Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Sukha, Sanatana, Kumar, are very pleased in the sentiment of servitude. Whether it is Brahma, Shiva, Narad, Sukha, all other, they all are aspiring for that mood of being a servant of Krishna. Das Abhiman. Nityananda Avaduta Sabate Agala Chaitanyera Dasya Preme Haila Pagala. And now example of Nityananda Prabhu. Chaitanyera Dasya Preme. The love exhibiting as a servant of Sri Chaitanya, Haila Pagala. He becomes pagal, he becomes mad by considering himself servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Um, Sri Nityananda, the wandering mendicant, is the foremost of all associate of Lord Chaitanya. He became mad in the ecstasy of service to Lord Chaitanya. Srivas, Haridas, Ramdas, Gadadhar Pandit, Murari Gupta, Mukunda, Chandrasekhar, and Vakreshwar are all glorious and are all learned scholars, but the sentiment of servitude to Lord Chaitanya makes them mad in ecstasy. Thus they dance, sing, laugh like madmen, and they instruct everyone just be loving servants of Lord Chaitanya. everybody, all the associates of Lord Chaitanya, were deriving unlimited joy in considering themselves as servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Whether they are devotee like Narad Muni, the Balram like Nityananda Prabhu, Vishnu or Shiva like Advaita Acharya, whoever they are, or whether they are um, um, in any rasa in Krishna Leela, Madhurya rasa, Sakhya rasa, Vatsalya rasa, whoever they all derive great pleasure in Das Abhiman, in in taking the position of being a servant. Chaitanya Gosai More Kare Guru Gyana Tatha Piha Mora Hai Dasa Abhimana. So you see this word, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami uses so many times, this word of Das Abhiman. I am the servant of Lord. Shri Advaita Acharya thinks Lord Chaitanya considers me his spiritual master, yet I feel myself to be only his servant. So this was always the competition between Advaita Acharya and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu would consider Advaita Acharya his servant because Advaita Acharya was on the level of a spiritual master. But Advaita Acharya came to assist Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that is the highest joy, a servant of Krishna. Dasya Bhav, Das Abhiman continues. Love for Krishna has this one unique effect. It imbues superiors, equals, and inferiors with the spirit of service to Lord Krishna. So, this is one unique quality with Krishna. No matter what relationship one has with Krishna, whether Nanda Baba, Mother Yashoda, or any other rasa, whether one is superior, one is equal, like friends and gopis, or one is inferior, like servants of Krishna. Whoever they are, superior, equal, or inferior, um, they are imbued with the mood of dasya. So, although we hear there are five rasas, uh, dasya, sakhya, vatsalya, uh, madhurya, santa, although there are five rasas, the prominent, even in madhurya, I mean, I would not say prominent, but one strong feeling, even whether one is in Vatsalya Ras with Krishna or with Madhurya Ras with Krishna or with Sakhya Ras with Krishna, is that I am servant of Krishna. This is the theme today. Because many times it is understood that um, 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 now this Dasya, there is no reverence there. This is a unique quality of Krishna Prema. Although the mood is Dasya, it is free from any awe and reverence. Just like um, the mother um, serves the child, mother serves the child. There is no reverence for the child, but there is Vatsalya Ras, but there is Dasya Ras. Likewise, um, in Madhurya Ras also, there is a mood of seva, and there is a mood of madhurya, conjugal love, but there is a mood of dasya, that I am the servant. So that dasya bhav is a thread that connects all the rasas, that is prominent. So love for Krishna has this one unique effect. It imbues superior, equal, and inferior with the spirit of service to Lord Krishna. This is some examples. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami quote Vatsalya devotees with Dasya Bhav. Although no one is elder, more respected elder for Krishna than Nanda Maharaj in Braja, who in transcendental paternal love has no knowledge than his son is the supreme personality of Godhead, still ecstatic love makes him, what to speak of others, feel himself to be a servant of Krishna. So even Nanda Maharaj takes great joy in thinking himself as a servant of Krishna, although he is superior in position to Krishna. And this is a quote from Shrimad Bhagavatam, a reference. Nanda Maharaj telling to Uddhav, my dear Uddhav, please hear me. In truth, Krishna is my son. But even if you think that he is God, I would still bear toward him my own feelings for my son. May our minds be attached to the lotus feet of your Lord Krishna. Now, um, Nanda Maharaj is telling, may our mind be attached to the lotus feet of your Lord Krishna. Uddhav said, Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Nanda Maharaj said, well, maybe. Uh, Gargamuni did mention he is not different from Narayan. And based on his um, uh, supernatural activities, he may be Supreme Personality of Godhead. But I still think that he is my son because that Vasalya ras dominates. So there is no reverence, yet there is Dasya Bhav. May our mind be attached to the lotus feet of your Lord Krishna. May our tongue chant his holy name, and may our bodies lie prostrate before him. So even his father wants to lie prostrate before Krishna. That bhav remains within in every rasa. Now, example of Sakya devotees with Dasya bhav. The Gopas headed by Sri Dama are in pure fraternal affection, Sakya ras, without any idea of Krishna's opulence. There is no reverence. Um, they fight with him and climb on his shoulders. The friends climb on the shoulder of Krishna. So there is no reverence. Yet they worship his lotus feet, Charana Seva, in the spirit of servitude. So that shows that even in Sakya ras, there is Dasya Bhav. Dasya Bhav. Actually, um, Sakya ras contains Dasya ras. Vatsalya ras contains Sakya ras and Dasya ras. And Madhurya ras contains Vatsalya ras, contains Sakya ras and contains Dasya ras. So Dasya ras is one ras which is a thread which connects all the rasas, which is there in every rasa. And even though one may try to develop a particular relationship with Krishna, the mood that I am servant of Krishna is important to cultivate in all relationship. That's the theme of today's discussion. So even Sri Dama, Subal, Madhu Mangal, they also want to serve the lotus feet, Charana Seva in the mood of in the spirit of servitude. Um, this is one of the quote from Srimad Bhagavatam. Some of the friends of Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, massaged his feet. Others whose sinful reactions have been destroyed fanned him with the hand-held fans. So different gopas serving and massaging the feet of Krishna. Krishna also does that because Krishna takes joy in Das Abhiman. Just like all others takes joy in Das Abhiman in Krishna, Krishna takes similar joy in becoming a chariot driver, in massaging the feet of Balram and Gopas, in taking the dust from the feet of Radharani, in carrying the shoes of Nanda Maharaj on his head. And they all also take Das Abhiman. So this mood of I am the servant of others. I am the servant of Krishna. Right now, the theme is I am the servant of Krishna. In another chapter, there is another discussion, is a theme where Krishna thinks I am the servant of my devotees. But this mood prevails throughout Vraja. Is Das Anudas, is the servant of servant. Das Abhiman, Dasya Bhav. Now, this is something Madhurya devotees in Braja with Dasya Bhav. The dust of their feet are desired by Uddhav, yet they regard themselves as Krishna's maid servants. So, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is telling Uddhav, when he was humbled by seeing the devotion of the gopis of Braja, um, he wanted to take the dust of their feet and he desired to become a Gurmalata. Um, but they consider themselves as Krishna's servant. So these are not contradictory emotions that Madhurya Ras thinking oneself as servant of Krishna. This is not, this is, this, these two simultaneously exist. Now, this is something from Gopi Geet. व्रजजनार्तिहा वीरयोषितां निजजना स्मया ध्वंसना स्मिता भज सखे भवान् किङ्करीष्मनो जलारुहाननं चारुदर्शया. Bhavat Kinkari. Kinkari means servant. So this is a particular instance where um, Krishna came and then Krishna disappeared, and they all were heartbroken from separation from Krishna. And then they sang a song of separation, and that song is called Gopi Geet. They are all the Braj gopis. They are considering themselves as Bhavat Kinkari. They have the maximum. I mean, they control Krishna by their love because their love is of the highest order. Um, Yet they consider themselves as Kinkari, the servant of Krishna. O Lord, remover of the afflictions of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, O hero of all women, O Lord who destroy the pride of your devotees by your sweet gentle smile, O friend, we are your maid servants. So we see this mood, we are your maid servants. Um, Please fulfill our desire and show us your attractive lotus feet. So that mood is prevalent, is Dasya Bhav. And then there is this Brahmar Geet. Um, Gopis in Brahmar Geet, they sing um, क्वचिद अपि सा कथाम न किन करीनाम granite. Kin karinam. Um, um, does he ever talk about us, his maid servants? Does he ever quachid? Does he ever do that? So this uh, the instance where Brahmar Geet was spoken is after Krishna left Vrindavan. Krishna sent Uddhav with message for all the residents of Vrindavan, especially many letters for the gopis of Vrindavan. Um, um, and at that point of time, Radharani was there, and she saw a bumblebee. You know the black, as you see in a picture, a black bumblebee, and she because the bumblebee mouth was blackish in color. um, Radharani remembered Krishna, um, and she chastised Bumblebee that just like you are so ungrateful, Bumblebee, you are so ungrateful that you go from flower to flower and you take nectar from all the flower, and then you have no gratitude for that flower. You just go to the next flower and the next flower, and you are just on your own. You don't care about the flower. So likewise you um, s- have many pastimes with us, and now you left, now you went to the other flowers in Dwarka. So she chastised Bumblebee basically. So there is a this is called Brahmar Geet. Brahmar Geet is so by Radharani chastising Bumblebee, Uddhav could get a glimpse of love of Radharani for Krishna, love of gopis for Krishna. Just by Radharani would not look at Uddhav. She just chastised Bumblebee. And Uddhav was humbled by that. Like it was impossible to comprehend that love. But one of the line that comes is in that also I mean it's a long chapter in Shrimad Bhagavatam where Radharani was chastised Bumblebee, and then she was thinking maybe Bumblebee will go and complain to Krishna, and if Krishna hears that, then Krishna heart will be pained because he's already going through the suffering from separation from us. So she doesn't want that message to go. So Radharani again says this also, that we are his maid servants. So both mood comes in the song of Brahmar Geet. But again the word is kin karina grinite, that does he ever talk about us who are his maid servants? So that mood is prominent. And this is what to speak of other gopis, even Sri Radhika, who in every respect is the most elevated of them all, and who has bound Sri Krishna forever by her loving attributes, serves his feet as his maidservant. Um, Although Krishna is very eager to take the dust of her feet, she always consider Krishna herself as Krishna's maidservant. And that's true with every single relationship with Krishna. Is dasabhiman, is the mood of dasya. And this is a particular verse uh, um, by spoken by Srimati Radharani. O my Lord, O most dearly beloved, O mighty armed Lord, where are you? Where are you? If you see, it says Kwasi Kwasi Mahabhuja. Where are you? O my friend, reveal yourself to your maid servant, who is very much aggrieved by your absence. So this particular instance comes when um, Krishna um, took Radharani, he held Radharani, and first Radharani became upset uh, in the Rasa dance, and she left. And Krishna was finding no happiness um, without her presence, so Krishna also left. And then they both were going in a deep forest in a dark night on Sharad Purnima day, and then um, uh, for a particular reason, Krishna disappeared, and now she was all alone. Um, and then she composed this verse, and there she said, Kwasi Kwasi Mahabhuja, where are you, Krishna? Dasyaste Kripanaya me, we are your servants, and we are um, very much eager and afflicted by your absence, pained by your absence. um, Darshaya, please reveal yourself to us back again. But the mood is that we are your servant is prominent. Now, not only in Vraja, even in Dwarka, Madhurya devotees in Dwarka with Dasya Bhav and Dasabhiman. द्वारकाते रुक्मिणी आदि यते का महिषी ताहा राव आपना के माने कृष्णा दासी. um, um, in Dwarka Dham, all the queens headed by Rukmini also considered themselves as Mane Krishna Dasi, considered themselves as maid servants of Lord Krishna. Now, this is a particular instance from Srimad Bhagavatam. Rukmini, we know the story of uh, Krishna stole Rukmini from the marriage day, from the um, um, Durga Devi's mandir, from the temple of Durga Devi, where she was about to get married to Shishupal. Lord Krishna forcibly took me from the midst of many kings. May the lotus feet of Krishna, which are the shelter of the goddess of fortune, be the object of my worship. So we see the consciousness of Rukmini is, may the lotus feet of Krishna be the object of my worship. Again, the mood is, I want to serve the lotus feet of Krishna. That Das Abhiman is there. Kalindi, another wife, another queen of Dwarka, aware of my austerities, he came with Arjuna and accepted my hand. Yet I am but his maid servant, engaged in sweeping the floor of his house. So one of the queen of Dwarka, um, she is telling that I am Krishna's maid servant, engaged in sweeping the floor of his house. So that mood of Dasya Bhav. Lakshmana, she is another prominent queen of Krishna. Through austerity and renunciation, we have become the maid servant in the house of Supreme Lord, who is self satisfied. So her mood is, by our austerities and renunciation, Krishna, who is Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always self satisfied, it is our great fortune that we have become the maid servant in his house. So that's the mood of Das Abhiman, that we are, whether it is Madhurya, Vatsalya, Sakya, or any rasa, anywhere, uh, the prominent mood, even in Radharani, is I am a maid servant, I am a servant of Krishna. Baldev, Balram. is also with Dasya Bhav. What to speak of others, even Lord Balaram, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is full of emotions like pure friendship and uh, paternal love. He also considers himself a servant of Lord Krishna. Indeed, who is there who does not have this conception of being the servant of Lord Krishna? So, all these different references Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is quoting about um, Subal, Nand Maharaj, Gopis, uh, Lakshmana, Kalindi, Rukmini, Balaram, to bring out this point of um, everybody derives great joy in calling themselves as servant of Krishna. Uh, and same joy uh, Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu, and others derive. So the whole theme is a Bhakta Avataram, the last line of invocation prayer of Advaita Acharya, that he wanted to, although he is Supreme Lord himself, he wanted to serve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in a mood of servant, because that's what everybody in the spiritual world is trying to do. Rudra with Dasya Bhav. Rudra is an expansion of Sadashiva and who appears in unlimited universes, is also a Guna avatar, qualitative incarnation, and is the ornament of all the demigods in the endless universes. He also desires only to be the servant of Lord Krishna. Sri Sadashiva always says, I am servant of Lord Krishna. Intoxicated by ecstatic love for Lord Krishna, he becomes overwhelmed and incessantly dances without clothing and sings about Lord Krishna's qualities and pastimes. He becomes mad. Um, if you read uh, Brihad Bhagavatam by Sanatan Goswami, there is a description when Gop Kumar went beyond Brahma Jyoti, um, just before the planet of Sadashiva, he saw um, devotees um, with somebody sitting on Nandi, the bull, uh, glorifying and doing Sankirtan together. And Gop Kumar was very much attracted. Wow, this sounds like Vrindavan. Who are these people? And then he could not recognize because the form is different and the way they looked was very different. So he asked one of the person, "Who are all you people? Your Sankirtan sounds so attractive." And the person whom he asked, he said, "This is Nandishwar, um, Lord Shiva, and we are going to this particular place, and on the way we are performing Nam Sankirtan." So even there is a description that even Lord Shiva, without clothings, he sings like a madman the qualities and pastimes of Lord Krishna, basically deriving great pleasure in um, being a servant of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya is one master, and everyone is his servant. Eka Krishna Sarva Sevya Jagata Ishwara Arayata Sabha Tanra Seva Sevak Anuchara. Sevaka Anuchara. Um, Anu means, like we say, Das Anudas. Likewise, Sevak Anuchara. Anu means, Das means servant. Das Anudas means servant of servant of servant. So that's the mood. Lord Krishna is one master and the Lord of the universe, is worthy of being served by everyone. He's the only Bhokta. Prabhupada says Krishna is the only Bhokta. Nobody else is Bhokta. Even Balaram and all the incarnations of the Lord are also not Bhokta. Krishna is the only Bhokta. Bhokta means enjoyer. So Lord Krishna, the one master and the Lord of the universe, is worthy of being served by everyone. Indeed, everyone is but a servant of his servants. That's the mood, that's the only mood that exists in Golok Vrindavan. That's why Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu um, made this verse, Naham Vipro Nacha Narapati, Gopi Bhartrupada Kamale or Das Das Anudasa. Because that's the mood when we cultivate in this material world in association of devotees. that will give us entrance to Golok Vrindavan, to Vrajadham, because that's the mood that is prevalent over there. Say Krishna Avatirna Chaitanya Ishvara Ata Eva Ara Sabha Tahara Kinkara. That same Lord Krishna has descended as Lord Chaitanya, Chaitanya Ishwar, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone therefore is his servant. Ata Eva Ara Sabha Tahara Kinkara. Everybody is a servant, whether it is Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu, any incarnation, any rasa, anywhere. Everyone is a servant. केहा माने केहा ना माने सब तांद्रा दास ये ना माने तारा haya सही पापा नाश. Keha mane, some believe. Keha na mane, some doesn't believe. Saba Tandra Das, still everybody is a servant of that one Ishvara, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Some accept him, whereas others do not. Yet everyone is a servant. One who does not accept him, however, will be ruined by his sinful activities. Chaitanyera Dasa Muni, Chaitanyera Dasa, Chaitanyera Dasa Muni, Tanra Dasera Dasa. Now this is very, very nice. Everyone can understand. Chaitanyera Dasa Muni, I am servant of Lord Chaitanya. This is Advaita Acharya thinks like this. Chaitanyera Dasa Muni, Chaitanyera Dasa, I am a servant of Sri Chaitanya. Chaitanyera Dasa Muni, again, I am a servant of Sri Chaitanya. Tanra Dasera Dasa, and I am the servant of his servants also. So that's the mood Advaita Acharya is carrying. Um, Eta Bali Nache Gaye, Hunkara Gambhira, Shane Keva Shila Acharya, Haina Shusthira, Eka Bali, Eta Bali, and he says like this: Chaitanya Dasa Muni, Chaitanya Dasa, Chaitanya Dasa Muni, Tanra Dasa Anudasa. So he sings like this and he dances, nache. Eta Bali nache gaye, Hunkara Gambhira, and he he shouts, Hunkar, he shouts on the top of his voice, Chaitanya Dasa Muni, Chaitanya Dasa, Chaitanya Dasa Muni, Dasanu Dasa. I am servant of servant, I am servant of Sri Chaitanya, I am servant of Sri Chaitanya. Saying this, Advaita Acharya dances and loudly sings. Then at the next moment, he quietly sits down. So after on the top of his lung, he said, Chaitanya Dasa Muni, Chaitanya Dasa, and then he sits down. And then he again, Chaitanya Dasa Muni. So this is the ecstasy of Advaita Acharya. He takes great pleasure in considering himself as servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhakta abhiman mule Shri Balarame sei bhave anugata tanra amsa garne. Again you see this word coming, Bhakta abhiman, das abhiman, dasya bhav. That mood is prevalent throughout this chapter. Bhakta abhiman mule Shri Balarame. Mula is the origin. The origin of this mood, Bhakta abhiman, is Balaram. The source of the sentiment of servitude is indeed Lord Balaram. And we see how eager is Lord Balaram. Lord Balaram is like, he will do whatever it takes to serve Krishna. Uh, Whether it is he expands as clothes of Krishna to serve Krishna, as flute of Krishna, as Vrindavan Dham, as flower that comes in the Dham, uh, um, as Sakhya, as Vatsalya, as shoes of Krishna, as bed of Krishna, as instruments of Krishna. So that source is Balaramji. He um, he does whatever it takes to serve Krishna. That's it, and he derives great pleasure in that mood. Sometimes he take the mood of chastising Krishna, but that gives Krishna pleasure. That's why he does it. But the principle is servant of Krishna. Thus, the source of the sentiment of servitude is indeed Lord Balaram. The plenary expansion who follow him are all influenced by that ecstasy. Everyone is uh, everyone who who follows Balaram or who follows Guru becomes ecstatic in that mood of Das Abhiman. I am the servant of the Lord. Um, All incarnation of Krishna except the mood of servitude. Now we are coming to the incarnation. We discussed about the rasas and Balram. Now the even the incarnation we discuss about Lord Shiva, Brahma, the devotees like Narada, Sanat Kumar, and others. Now, even Lord Shankarshan, who is one of his incarnation, always consider himself a devotee, and that's why he act as a bed of Krishna, Sankarshan. Lord lies on the bed of the snake, Sheshanag, Sankarshan. Again, although he is Balaram, uh, um, Das Abhiman. He takes pleasure in rendering service to Krishna. Another of his incarnation is Lakshman. Lakshman, Satrughan, um, 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 and the other brothers, um, who is very beautiful and opulent, always serves Lord Ram. The Vishnu, who lies in the causal ocean, is an incarnation of Lord Sankarshan, and accordingly, the emotion of being a devotee is always present in his heart. Now, this is a unheard statement that even Narayan, who is lying, Mahavishnu, who is lying in the causal ocean, if you go to the heart of Narayan, he is overwhelmed with the emotion of being a devotee. Now that's like never heard of. I mean, when I heard this, it was like, oh, really? So that kind of feeling that even Narayan thinks that I am the devotee of the Lord. So everybody is in the mood, all incarnations, everybody is in the mood that I am servant of Krishna. I am a devotee of Krishna. Advaitacharya, and it's clear because that same Vishnu appeared as Advaitacharya, and we see his mood. Chaitanya Dasa Muni, Chaitanya Dasa, Chaitanya Dasa Muni, Dasya Anudasa. That's the mood he came up with. Advaitacharya is a separate expansion of him. He always engages in devotional service with his thoughts, words, and actions. Um, 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 By his words he declares, I am servant of Lord Chaitanya. Thus with his mind he always thinks, I am his devotee. Okay. Sesa, Shankarshan, who holds all the planets on his head, expands himself in different bodies to render service to Lord Krishna. These are all incarnations of Lord Krishna, yet they act as devotees. The scriptures call them Bhakta Avatar. Again, some of things are we already discussed. Lord Krishna is Amsi, and all others are his Amsas. Amsi means um, just like Ete Chamsa Kala Pumsam Krishna Su Bhagwan Swayam. Um, Same line. He is Amsi, means the source, and all others are his part and partial incarnation, Amsas. The source of all incarnation has the emotions of a superior, Jayeshta Bhava, when he considers himself the master, and he has the emotion of an inferior, Kanishta Bhava, when he considers himself a devotee, Bhakta Abhiman. So, same Krishna always has this mood uh, um, compared to all the incarnation of Jayeshta Bhava, of a superior, that Krishna, uh, and when Krishna, these are all expansions of Krishna. When Krishna expands as Narayan, Balaram, everybody takes the mood of Bhakta Abhiman. All the incarnation of Krishna takes the mood of Bhakta Abhinam. Krishna is the only Bhokta, and he knows that. And but he derived great pleasure in becoming the servant of his devotee. That's this is like Achintya Veda Veda Tattva. So Krishna is the only Amsi, rest all are Amsas. And Krishna takes the mood of Jayeshta Bhava, everybody else takes the mood of Bhakta Abhiman, Kanishta Bhava. The position of being a devotee is higher than the equality with Lord Krishna. Now, the incarnation of the Lord uh, are not different from the Lord. Even Balram, for example, uh, all 64 qualities, Prabhupada said, except color, no difference. Yet the position of being a devotee is higher than the equality with Lord Krishna. Um, For the devotees are dearer to Lord Krishna than his own self. Uh, Lord Krishna consider his devotee greater than himself. So, um, um, Balram, if he thinks that I am equal to Krishna, we are not different, then it is not so great. But if he thinks that I am devotee of Krishna, I am servant of Krishna, then Krishna thinks, even if his incarnation, uh, okay, Lord Krishna consider his devotees greater than himself. So even the incarnation, when they think that I am servant of Krishna, then Krishna considers them that they are greater than me, because Krishna considered his devotee greater than me. So um, it's a higher position in the eyes of Krishna when somebody consider himself herself as servant of Krishna than being equal to Krishna. And that's why all the incarnation and all the rasas, they like to be considered as servant of Krishna, because Krishna becomes very very dear to them, and Krishna considers them, oh, they are better than me, because they are telling that they are my devotee, so they are even better than me. So that mood, that's why it prevails. This is from Shrimad Bhagavatam. O Uddhav, this is Krishna telling to Uddhav. O Uddhav, neither Brahma nor Shankar nor Sankarshan nor Lakshmi nor even my own self is as dear to me as you. Now, how do you understand that? Neither Brahma nor Shankar nor Lakshmi nor Brahma, Shiva, Shankarshan, Lakshmi, nobody is as dear to me, Uddhav, as you. Um, um, the idea is because you consider me as my devotee, uh, um, you are dear most to me. A devotee is dear most to Krishna than others who consider themselves as equal to Krishna. For that reason, uh, Sankarshan, Brahma, Shiva also consider themselves as a devotee of Krishna. I mean, of course, Brahma is a Jiva Tattva, anyways, but Shankar is, especially Shiva and Sankarshana, they are like Vishnu Tattvas, but they consider themselves as devotee of Krishna, and then they become very dear to Krishna by doing that. कृष्णा साम्य नाहे तंद्रा माधुर्य स्वादन भक्ता भावे करे तांद्रा माधुर्य श्रवण. The sweetness of Lord Krishna is not to be tasted by those who consider themselves equal to Krishna. It is to be tasted only through the sentiment of servitude. Otherwise, we cannot really taste Krishna's madhurya, sweetness. Baldev, Lakshmana. This Lakshmana is not the queen of Krishna. There is a queen of Krishna by name Lakshmana, but this is Ram's brother Lakshmana. Baldev, Lakshmana, Advaitacharya, Nityananda Prabhu, Shesha, Shankarshana taste the nectarian mellow of transcendental bliss of Lord Krishna by recognizing themselves as being his devotees and servants. They are all mad with that happiness and they know nothing else. So I think that's quite prominent. The theme is clear. What to speak of others, even Lord Krishna himself becomes thirsty to taste his own sweetness. Bhakta Bhava Angikari Haila Avatirna Shri Krishna Chaitanya Rupe Sarva Bhava Purna. Therefore, Lord Krishna accepted the position of our devotee and descended in the form of Lord Chaitanya, who is complete in every respect. And he himself wanted to taste the mood of his devotee. So he came in the mood of Srimati Radharani. So that mood, everybody wants to become a devotee of Krishna. Krishna himself sees everybody wanted to become my devotee. No, no, I want to become my own devotee. And I want to experience what my devotees experience. So this is already explained in Adi Leela before. Um, आई नंद तनुजा किन्करं पतिता मामिषमे भवम्बुधौ कृपया तव पाद पंकजा स्थिता धूलि सदृशं विचिन्तया. So that's the mood that every devotee must cultivate. Every devotee who wants to attain Vraj Bhakti. Raj Prema must cultivate. I Nanda Tanuja Kinkara. When I was talking to Jagadguru Prabhu, I shared this before. He was telling that when you say I Nanda Tanuja, Krishna immediately looks at you. Oh, somebody is calling me. I Nanda Tanuja, or younger son of Nanda Maharaj. That's what it means. I Nanda Tanuja, Kinkaram. So that's the mood we are meant to cultivate, that we are your servant. Whether we are in Sakya Bhav, Vatsalya Bhav, or Madhurya Bhav, um, this mood is important for independent of our rasa for us to cultivate, because this mood exists in all rasas eternally in spiritual world, is that we want to serve Krishna. We want to serve Krishna. um, um, I Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram, o younger son of Nanda Maharaj, I am your servant. That mood. Patita mam vishame bhavam budho. Somehow or other, I have fallen in this vishame, in this cycle of birth and death with this material body. Kripaya tava pada pankaja, by your mercy, tava pada pankaja, um, lotus feet, stita dhuli sadrisham vichintaya. Um, Please pick me up and fix me as a speck of dust at your pada pankaja, at your lotus feet. Pick me up. So that's the mood. I Nanda Tanuja Kinkara. And this is Narottam Das Thakur uh, says, Haha Prabhu Nanda Suta, Vrishabhanu Suta Yuta, Karuna Karahai Bar, Narottama Dasa Kai, Nathe Liha Ranga Pae, Toma Vina Kea Che Amar, Nathe Liha Ranga Pae, my Lord, please do not reject me. So that mood is there of a servant. I am your servant. Please do not kick me away. Um, um, Toma vina ke ache amar. If you reject me, if you kick me off with your theli, theli means the soul of the lotus feet of the Lord, like rejected. So na theli ha ranga boy. Please do not kick me away. Toma vina ke ache amar. Then where will I go? What do I do? There is nothing that remains in my life other than your lotus feet. So please do not kick me away. Please, karuna kara hai ek bar. Please be merciful unto me and allow me to engage in your devotional service no matter what happens in life. Allow me to continue so that I can serve you, because I have no other shelter. I don't know where else to go. My dear Lord, you are now present with the daughter of King Bishabhanu, Bishabhanu Sutta Yuta, Shrimati Radharani. Now, both of you, please be merciful upon me. Don't kick me away because I have no shelter other than you. So that's the mood we should try to cultivate, is the mood of Dasabhiman, servant. Um, and we know it will be discussion of another Chaitanya Charitamrita chapter. Um, um, Being a servant of a devotee is higher than considering oneself servant of Krishna. Um, Being a servant of devotee. So that's the conclusion. We have come to the end of our today's discussion. All the incarnations are entitled to the emotions of devotees. There is no higher bliss than this. The original Bhakta avatar is Sankarshan, which is Balaram, who is the moon, who is the source. Sri Advaita is counted among such incarnation. Um, um, Advaita Acharya Gosai Mahima Apar, Yahan Rahu Kara Kaila Chaitanya Avatar. The glories of Sri Advaita Acharya are boundless, for his sincere vibrations brought about Lord Chaitanya's descent upon his earth. It is by his mercy that Mahaprabhu came and gave us Vraj Bhakti. Gave us Vraj Bhakti. So gratitude to Advaita Acharya for calling Mahaprabhu. Sankirtana Pracharya Saba Jagat Tarila Advaita Prasade Loka Premadhana Paila. He liberated the universe by preaching Sankirtan. Thus, the people of the world receive the treasure of love of Godhead through the mercy of Advaita Acharya. It is by his mercy um, that people in this world got the opportunity um, to receive love of Godhead uh, through the medium of Nam Sankirtan. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Padayara As Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I Krishnadas narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. So that's all for today. Uh, are there any questions?
No questions on this topic, Prabhuji. How are you? How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing okay. We are going through a tough phase in our lives, uh, highly unexpected, and in general, devotees' health is not good actually. Um, uh, yeah, but we are continuing serving Radha Gopijana Vallabha. We are continuing our seva, and we are not focusing much on the things that are going on. Just focusing on the seva. Okay. Any other question?
Is there any way we can help, Prabhuji?
Well, uh, just prayers. That's all. That's nothing else.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking.
We cannot come there, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
just you two, you and Sham Kishore Prabhuji, right?
If you don't,
Managing everything. I mean, yeah.
well, if you have no desire to live, you can come. Otherwise, stay at home. Uh, yeah, it's a phase our temple is going through, uh,
Yeah.
uh, which is unknown to us why we are going through this phase. But
Yeah.
we see everything as Krishna's arrangement.
Yeah.
Something for us to get deeper realization of the nature of this material world.
Yeah,
Something.
this is Agni Pariksha. This is called as Agni Pariksha. Yeah.
All right, and we are very grateful to all of you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Vancha
thank you.
kalpatarubhesha kripa sindhubhe evacha patita nam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anant Koti Vaishnavendra ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.